Good evening, Internet heads. It's Nick here, and the rather dramatic entrance is because Season 2 of The Umbrella Academy blew my mind. I really enjoyed Season 1, but Season 2, it just went above and beyond expectations. It's now sitting on 90, that's 9 and a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. Season 1 is on 74, 76, somewhere like that. Anyway, and wow, I can honestly say I think I'm quite correct in this as well. Season 2 of Umbrella Academy is probably the best season of any superhero franchise out there. And that's including Legion. Legion has been my sort of go-to for art and superheroes, proving that superhero shows and superhero series can actually be artistic and really well put together. Season 2 of Umbrella Academy has done this. It's also a lot more accessible than something like Legion. Legion you can't binge watch either. This you can binge watch. I keep saying Season 2 because of course it is Season 2 I'm talking about, not Season 1 of Umbrella Academy. Season 2 is very binge-worthy. Season 1 certainly was as well, but not to the extent of this, and I'll let you guys know why after this rather needless introduction that everyone on YouTube seems to have. Cheers! It really makes me depressed, actually, when you think that Aidan Gallagher, who plays number 5, is 16 fucking years old.
What the hell did we do now?
16! He was 15 in Season 1. He's 16 in Season 2. Okay, he plays a character who's like supposed to be 60 or something. He went back in time and didn't get the coordinates right and ended up going into a younger, person's body or his own body. But 16, my God. Well done, dude. Well done. At least I can drink. You can't drink yet. And then when you can drink, you'll be doing everything that I can't do. Anyway, let's look at Season 2 and not get depressed about that. Season 2 starts, of course, after Season 1. I know things about time. Anyway, Season 1, of course, Vanya blows up the moon, and the moon destroys Earth. Luckily, number 5 jumps everybody back in time, and they kind of get spread out between 1960 and 1963. A lot of this is about another apocalypse that takes place in 1963, and they kind of work out that it has something to do with the assassination of JFK, which was in 1963. So they arrive 10 days before that, or at least 5 arrives 10 days before that. A couple of the other team arrive earlier. I think Diego arrives in 1960. I think Luther arrives in 1961. I think that Allison arrives in 1962. It doesn't really matter when, but they all arrive a little bit earlier than 5. And so by the time 5 arrives, they've kind of made themselves a new life. You've got Luther, who's acting as a big, bouncer bodyguard for a mobster. You've got David Castaneda, who's brilliant, by the way, as Diego. He gets a bit more shine in this. He's in a mental asylum because he's trying to save JFK, and they think that he's going mad about, conspiracy theories and plots and whatnot. Then we, of course, have Allison Hargreaves. She's the one that said...
I heard a rumor. You punched yourself in the face.
Anyway, so she's doing that. We've got KLAUS. And Ben's dead, of course, but KLAUS can see him because KLAUS can see dead people. He accidentally started a cult and then ran away from said cult because he doesn't like the attention. I don't know. It's brilliantly done, though. It's hysterical. We've got, and then Pedro, of course, is Vanya. She arrives and is hit by a car and has no memory. We don't know whether she has no memory because of the car accident or she has no memory because of the events of what happened at the end of Season 1. I'm assuming it's more than likely that. Anyway, she ends up on it's the family who knock her over, take her in, and she's basically on a farm with a perfect family, a wife, a husband, and a boy. I think the boy's autistic. The husband, when you look underneath the surface, of course, it's not a perfect family at all. And so she has her whole story over there. So that's basically what's happening in Season 2. We have all the characters who are once again drifted apart, much like Season 1, and 5 has to bring them together to stop the apocalypse. Now, in the opening credits, not opening credits, but opening scenes of Episode 1, we see a phenomenal showdown with the entire family, basically kicking the shit out of Russian invaders as nukes land, and you get to see all of them in their ultimate power glory. You see Luther literally shielding, who's he shielding? I think he shields KLAUS from a rocket, with his back. You see KLAUS doing his whole mojo. Kind of reminded me of Lord of the Rings, the Return of the King, where all the ghosts run forward and kill people. He does something very similar to that. You've got, of course, Vanya going completely postal. She's way OP'd in the show. But it looks really great because you kind of see them as almost like the X-Men team fighting the oppressors. But that doesn't end very well. And that, like I say, sets up the entire season, which is very similar to season 1, I'm not going to lie. It's so similar that you literally have the same things happening. And as I mentioned, you've got 5 jumping back in time, trying to bring the family together to stop an apocalypse, same as season 1. You have the commission who send out agents to try and kill all the family. This time, though, they are the Swedes. They're these 3 Swedish brothers, and they are brilliant. They're hysterical. They are violent as fuck. This show, season 2, my God, it's very violent. Their heads in fridges. 5 has got a phenomenal scene where he goes on a rampage killing people, and you just get to see how brilliantly his superpowers are. Because remember, he's supposed to be the best assassin of the commission, and you really see him do really naughty things in this. I think the as I mentioned, the character, why I'm so jealous of him, the actor, sorry, is that Aiden, you can see, he had such a great time with this show. He holds it together, to be completely honest. 5 always does, because he literally is bringing the family back together. And even though this kid, like, is 16 years old, teenager, 16 years old, he sort of gives across this older attitude. And I think that's very well done. You don't see it very often with a lot of younger actors, but he certainly holds your attention. Sorry, not to mean that any of the other actors are not doing a great job. They all do phenomenally in this. I do think Ellen Page gets a little bit more of a lean again, like she did in season 1. But that being said, they all do flesh out the characters greatly. Season 1, we kind of got to see them learning their superpowers, kind of thing, or going back in time. It's origin story, takes a bit more time. This, we get to see the characters actually growing. As I mentioned, Allison, for example, is married. We see all that world there, and we all know that Luther and her kind of like each other, even though they are brothers and sisters, but they're not. They're adopted. There's a whole thing over there. So it's done really, really well. I also like the way that they brought Ben in this. Even though Ben is a dead character and only KLAUS can see him, he was quite important in this season. And it just worked so well. So yeah, again, the plot, very similar. Nice additions. We've got also, I'm just trying to remember her name, the actress's name that is. We've got the handler of the commission. She was in season 1 as well. She's almost like a Cruella de Vil, evil person, and she's brilliant in this. You'd love to hate her. She's very naughty. She also has a surprise guest in the... Okay, I don't want to give too much spoilers though, so that is the plot of the show. What makes it good? Well, it is funny as hell. Much like watching, what's the funniest Guardians of the Galaxy? Funniest Guardians of the Galaxy. What's the funniest Marvel? Guardians of the Galaxy. That's where I'm going. It's very funny, okay, and it works well because that's what Marvel is. This show is much funnier than season 1. I think they looked at the criticisms of season 1. One of that is the tonal sort of weighting, and I have no problem with a heavy show. Watching Legion, for example, is a very, very heavy show. Season 2, for example, deals with rape, and that's quite a heavy thing, of course. So season 1 of Umbrella Academy is very heavy. Season 2, they really shifted it a little bit. Not to say that there aren't very, very heavy moments in the show. There certainly are. But it's, generally speaking, every 3 or 4 minutes you're bursting out laughing. I remember sitting watching this, binging it, of course, because it's such a binge-worthy show, over 2 days, and laughing so much I had to sort of pause and jump back so I can listen to what the characters were actually saying. So very, very funny. Number 2, much tighter. The biggest problem that I had with season 1 of Umbrella Academy is that each episode was about an hour long, and much like they had kind of the same problem with Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist, they pushed too many episodes into the season, so they would have 13, for example. So what they did here, and this is Steve Blackman, he's the showrunner for Umbrella Academy, they cut down the 1 hour to 45 minutes. And this really did wonders. For a binge show, it really worked perfectly. It made it faster. The pacing was really good. There were no moments that dragged. Everything was done perfectly. It was clean, crisp. You could barely get up to go to the toilet. You certainly couldn't. And you would miss something. And that coupled with the humor, which is very, very fast, and the expressions of the characters in the background when certain people are saying ridiculous things, because of course this family is so disjointed, it just worked well. It tied in beautifully together, like I said, with the timing, or times of each episode. The next thing, which you may as well say is a character, is, and I mentioned Guardians of the Galaxy because I was thinking in my head what other movie/show has done this to this effect. Season 1, as we know, of Umbrella Academy, the soundtrack is phenomenal. I personally think season 2 is much better. The music just works so goddamn well. I don't know whether it was Blackman who was sitting with the script writers or something, but they said that when they were most people approach writing a series or a movie with the script and then they throw the soundtrack on top of it. In this, however, they did a lot of the scenes the other way around. They would think about a brilliant song and they'd write the scene around it. Like, for example, as I mentioned earlier, the opening scenes in this where you see them fighting as a team and a really, really good team. The music in that is so goddamn well. If you pulled it out, it just wouldn't work. You would be like, why is the camera jumping like that? It works perfectly. I mean, I recently went camping, and on the drive up there, which is 3 or 4 hours, I listened to the soundtrack, which you can listen to on Spotify, like 3 times. It's phenomenal. It's as good, if not better, if you ask me, than Volume 1 of Guardians of the Galaxy. And that was one of my favorite sort of collection of songs for a very long time. This has blown it out the water. It is phenomenal. They must have spent a fortune, an absolute fortune, on the rights for these songs, because a lot of these people are still around. Okay, a couple of the songs are cover versions, but yeah, it's so good. The music is very, very good. Okay, let's think about the negative side of things, since I've been waxing lyrical for almost 10 minutes now. The negative side of this is, as I mentioned, the plot is exactly the same as Season 1, but at the same time, you kind of feel comforted in that, because you're not learning new things. You're learning the characters, but what's happening is kind of what we've already seen. The ending of it makes up for that. There's a phenomenal showdown. Absolutely brilliant. I've never seen anything like it in a series before. Very, very good. On the negatives, aren't I? There's just not really many negatives, to be honest with you. Okay, there's a couple of sort of plot things where Allison, for example, she uses her power to stop someone from beating her husband to death. And he's basically about to die. She then uses her power, and then he leaps up and he's like, "What did you do? What did you do?" There's a few little very, very nitpicky things like that. But like I say, generally speaking, this is one of the best seasons of any superhero-related show that's out there. And I've been looking at Legion as being the leader as far as proper quality production, as far as writing and quality in filming and music, etc., etc. This, though, I think is better. It's a series that I wanted to go straight back into and watch immediately after finishing, and that doesn't happen with me very often at all. So what do I out of 10? What food out of 10? Would it be a Guinness out of 10? Because I can drink it, Aiden. I don't know. I mean, this would be a lasagna, pizza, and a steak, all at the same time, with no guilt about weight. It is phenomenal. It is the best show that Netflix has done this year. The first season was the 3rd highest watched last year. I'm pretty sure this is going to be either the 3rd or get to high, the first, number 1 or 2, I don't know. But absolutely brilliant. Really, really well done. Great watch. And I hope you guys enjoy it. Catch you later.